Life podcast. With me today, I have the beautiful Amy of Carnivore's Angel. And today we're going to talk about her amazing story with her health and her weight loss. And we're also going to talk about some of the dangers of a really important ingredient that's found in everything. So welcome, Amy. Thank you.
Yes, you are so very welcome. Thank you for having me on here. And you're right. It's literally in everything.
Yes, and it's something that I know firsthand with my son, who really suffered from focus issues and behavioral issues that have just out of the gate a young age. And we saw whenever he had anything with, what we're going to talk about today, which is dyes. Anything with any of the dyes, he was like a whole different person, just couldn't focus. It was just running around like a crazy person, basically,
It's so hard to watch. My kids just recently had a run-in as well, and they're different people.
Yes. Our brains are affected by everything we put in our body. But, some of the toxins are just, obvious, right?
Oh my goodness. Yes, absolutely. There's some things that we absolutely can't go back to.
Yeah.
And the artificial dyes, come to find out, are one of those bedrock foundational things that we can never cross back over into. When we first took them keto, we thought it was all the sugar and we thought it was all the, the carbs that were causing the problems. And then we realized we removed artificial dyes when we took our kids low carb.
Mm-hmm.
Because they weren't eating processed foods anymore.
Yeah.
And so that was really amazing. One of our kids started acting out again, like he was getting the carbs. And I'm like, you're with me. You're homeschooled. You never leave the house. And I know exactly what you're eating. What's going on? And he used to shake and ball up his fists and his whole body would shake and he would start crying. He would be so angry. And then he would start hitting his sisters.
Oh, wow.
This is like the loveliest, sweetest kid ever. And he was having these raging attacks. And we're just so confused as to what's going on. One of my older sons was downstairs and he called up. I'm confronting this child who has now slugged his sister in the stomach because she wanted to change the game or something ridiculous. And my older son calls up from downstairs and he says, Mom, I thought you said you didn't want me taking anything with artificial dyes in it. And I said, yeah, I don't. And he goes, the Zyrtec, the off-brand Zyrtec, has Blue Lake 1 in it.
Oh my
and I
gosh.
look at my stepson. And at the same time, we went, that's what's wrong. We took away the medication that he was on. And within 24 hours, he was back to normal.
Oh my gosh.
And that's when we realized when we went keto, we took away all of the bright colored toothpaste. We got rid of the mouthwash. We got rid of the cereal. We got rid of the crackers. We got rid of everything that had those artificial dyes in it. And I couldn't afford to buy all the keto treats for the kids. Way too expensive. So we made our own stuff. And I knew what was in it all. So that was kind of our revelation as to how dangerous these dyes can be, because my kids can have rice and it doesn't affect them. They can have fruit and it doesn't affect them, but those dyes, they are different people with those dyes.
Yeah, so it's amazing how it happens almost like instantaneously. So fast, it travels up to the brain, and that's pretty scary, even a small amount.
Yes. My stepdaughter, which we didn't know at the time, she at the age of 5 had been diagnosed with ADHD, and it was a rightful diagnosis. I've worked in childcare or in schools my whole life, and I know when kids are misdiagnosed. And she was rightfully diagnosed. She used to fall out of her chair several times a day at school because she just was wiggling and moving all of the time and she couldn't hold still and she would fall out of the chair and she'd hit the floor. So, and then you teach her a new concept like adding, and she'd just look at you like you're speaking Greek and she'd blink really slowly and go, I don't know what you're talking about. And she'd just run away. And so we ended up having to medicate her because she couldn't hold still. And it was sad. It was scary because she was a shell of who she used to be. With these medications. They just suppressed her. They dumbed her down, honestly. And the spaciness got worse. You couldn't teach her anything. And then you'd say, what'd you learn at school today? And she'd start crying. I don't remember. I don't know. I mean, she was just a wreck. And shortly after that, I went keto, and Richard and I both went keto, and I saw something that said that it can help with ADHD in children. So I reached out to her mom and I said, what do you think? And she goes, anything to get her off these medications because it's breaking my heart. Yeah. So the two houses agreed to both go low carb for this child. So we did it, and we were able to get her off of her medications. Come to find out, almost every single one of those ADHD medications has some of the highest concentrations of artificial dyes of any medication. If you look at the capsules, the little gel caps, one half of it is dark, dark, dark blue, and the other half is bright pink. Yeah. Or you've got orange and yellow or red and green. And they're really, really brightly colored. And the purpose for this is so that people know what medication they're taking. Because if everything's white and it's all shaped the same size, then it's hard to tell. So that's why they do it. But even if you were to pop it open and take just the stuff inside, those two are coated and have artificial dyes inside of them. Oh my gosh. It's not just a powder. There's little tiny granules that are encapsulated. So you're getting layer upon layer of these artificial dyes. And most kids are experiencing ADHD or ADD because of artificial dyes. Yeah. Simply, that is it. So we're adding to the problem and then giving them enough drugs to overcome what we've given them plus what they are getting on a daily basis. And a lot of it depends on socioeconomic status. The poorer a family is, the more artificial dyes that family consumes because they are on things like food stamps, and food stamps only buy you so many things. They go to food pantries, and those have the foods that are going to last the longest, that can stay on the shelf and are full of the most junk. And so a lot of times the ones that are in the hardest situations are the ones that have the children that are obese, that have the children that are on, ADHD medications or need to be, that can't sit still. Those are the ones that the adults are having the hardest time too. 50% of the children that are affected by artificial dyes grow out of it in their teen years, and then into their adult years, they'll grow out of it. But that means that 50% don't. So how many adults are experiencing ADHD symptoms, depression, bipolar, anger, road rage, simply from the cereal or the donuts and the sprinkles, their toothpaste, their mouthwash, their shampoo, their conditioner, their body wash, their makeup, all of those things, the Sharpies that you're drawing on your skin with, those are all artificial dyes.
Oh gosh, yes. I didn't even think about the Sharpies. Yes. As kids, teenagers, I used to dye my hair with it.
Yes. And I know some adults who have found out that tattoos, they can't handle the tattoos either. And they've actually had to have them removed because of the artificial dyes in the tattoos. And immediately once those are gone, their whole life changes.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even think about the tattoos.
I know.
And so the tattoos, the ink affects you long after you've already had it?
Yep, because it
Oh.
stays underneath your skin,
Mhm.
and that color is an artificial dye
Oh my gosh.
that just stays there and continually releases for years and years.
Oh boy. Oh no. Oh no. Yes, and I have a lot of tattoos.
But you know what? You seem to be handling them
Oh.
fine. So that's okay.
Yes, well, and I have had a lot of, digestive issues long before I ever had tattoos, but I often wondered if the tattoos did affect like autoimmune um type symptoms, because I've had all kinds of autoimmune symptoms throughout the years. Um, but yeah, we just don't realize what we're putting in our body, on our body, that could affect these things.
Yes. And that's, I think, one of the biggest things that I've discovered along my health journey is this is so much more than food.
Yes.
Like, food is the foundation. I thoroughly believe that. I think that so many people have found 75, 95% of their healing through their food, because sometimes you can't think about all the rest of this stuff. You have to start somewhere, and food is a foundation that you can start at. And by doing that, the inflammation reduces and their brain is able to clear up and they're able to move in the right direction. But then when food isn't enough, you have to take it another step further, and you begin to look at and learn about a lot of these external problems, the chemicals like scented candles, the cooking on plastic, reheating your food on plastic in the
Yes.
microwave. And then these things like artificial dyes, and we begin to slowly, one step at a time, clean up our lives. And so many people want instant gratification. They want, the Amazon healing. You order it and 2 days later, it's at your doorstep.
Yeah, the detoxes and
Exactly. So I think there's so many pieces to this puzzle. It's, yes, food is a big part of it. And the artificial dyes is another big part of it. Oxalates are another big part of it for a lot of people.
yes.
And then we have your macros within your food. Because once you get your food figured out, you go low carb, you find out that there's more nuance to it than that. And I thought all I had to do was go low carb and I'd be good, but I'm not.
Mhm.
So there's just so many things. Your sleep, getting outside in nature, these computers, these smartwatches, these phones, these lights that we have all around us are affecting our circadian rhythms. They are disrupting our body's natural flow of being in alignment to where things are going to work properly. I
Mhm.
think that a lot of these electronics have the potential to cause problems like cancer, because sometimes you're eating all the right things and yet you still end up with cancer.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. There has to be another external factor that is playing in. And if we're in front of these computers on our smart devices, we're sleeping with them charging right by our bedside table, right next to us. We're inside, isolated from the world. And the earth is a giant magnet.
Mhm.
It has the ability to help realign our cells and get them to communicate properly by simply taking off your shoes, taking off your socks, going and finding a patch of dirt, a little bit of grass, and standing in it and just being quiet. Get rid of these electronics, and it can change your life in such amazing ways to just be still. Meditation, there's just so many things, and some people go, this is unattainable. I am never going to be able to do all of these things.
Yeah.
And the great thing is you don't have to.
Yeah, you just do what works for you. Like,
Exactly.
I'm very passionate about, once I figured this out a couple years ago through my son, introduced me to meditation.
Mhm.
And yeah, I don't do it, every day. I do it when I can, but I know that it helps me so much. And then I try to watch the sunrise. I can't really see it come up over the horizon because I live in Colorado. live right. There's mountains in the way, darn it. But if I can see the sunlight in my eyes when I first wake up, and then I put my feet on the grass, and everyone probably thinks I'm crazy, but I don't care because I feel good when I do these things.
Yeah,
And just do what you can when you can. It's hard for us to get off our computers when we do it for a living. But we can moderate it. We can do some things to help us.
absolutely. I mean, just any step in the right direction. And for some people, they only have to do 25% of this stuff and they're good. They're completely done. Then there's people that have to literally do 99% of this stuff
Yeah.
before they find their healing. And this is why no one size fits all. Food is not the end all be all answer. It's so much more than that. And this is why I really want to encourage people to go against the dogma and find your own path. You have to continue your education. You have to listen to what other people are doing. Try it. If it works for you, fantastic, but do not pull an Amy and go 4.5 months of barely eating because somebody said you should.
No. Yeah. I know, and it's hard, and that's why I decided to join like Bella's community and then your community, because I just had information overload. I'm trying to find all these things to work for me, and nothing working all the way. It's working most of the way, but not. You have those missing pieces, and it's good to just get out of these. I was in a lot of carnivore groups, keto groups. Nothing was really fitting. And so, yeah, just get out of some of these other places that aren't working for you.
Yeah. And I encourage people, I'm like, pick one,
Yeah.
and try it. Give it a good solid 30 days of an honest try, unless you feel horrible. Like if you feel horrible immediately, then don't give it 30 days, but give it 30 days and really try it. And then reassess at those 30 days and go, did it work enough for me to continue? Did I get enough benefits for me to justify continuing to do this? Or did I get some bad results? And do I need to switch it up again? And sometimes the best option is to go back to what you were doing before. It's almost like cleansing your palate. Go back to what you were doing for another 30 days and then try something new afterwards. Because what my problem was I did something that worked amazingly. I did high fat keto.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm high fat carnivore. Like, and as long as you accept the fact that I do coconut oil, that is literally the only thing from the plant kingdom, and coffee. But
Yeah.
technically, we don't talk about coffee. No, don't touch my coffee. So now I'm high fat carnivore, but high fat is where I was good. But
Mm-hmm.
instead of, I switched to one thing and then that didn't work. So I switched to something else and then that didn't work. And I switched to something else and I kept going forward, but I kept going downhill forward. It wasn't a good progression. It would have been better for me to step back and go, let me go back over here where it was working versus trying to chase rabbit trail after rabbit trail and going off in 18 different directions. And then it's been 3.5 years that I went, oh, I remember what worked. Okay, I'm going back.
Yeah.
3.5 years. So maybe step back, cleanse your palate, go back to what worked for you, and then try something new. And we can do this little dance back forward until you find something that works. And then that's your new normal.
Yeah. And I do find, with my own journey that sometimes things that worked for a while, one day they just stop working. And then you have to kind of reassess and say, okay, well, what do we need to change? Because our bodies are always healing and changing. And sometimes you do need to kind of switch it up and reintroduce something. You know.
Yeah, like high fat keto for me now does not work because those darn plants do not work.
Yes, I can attest to that. And that's why I was going back and forth too, because for about I was trying to heal gut issues and inflammation and just all these things. And I was doing mostly plant-based keto. I didn't know that I could eat meat. I didn't know that I could eat lots of meat and be healthier, but I was doing that for about 4 years. And like you said, I had issues where my throat would close up. And this was in like 2015. I was eating mostly salads because I didn't know what to eat. I didn't know that I could eat bacon and, because fat was bad.
I
So
know. And red meat gives you cancer.
yeah, and red meat gives you cancer. I thought that red meat and pork were just really bad for you. So I didn't really start introducing those until like 2016. And I was amazed by how well it lit up my brain was the first thing. I was like, wow, I'm getting high off of red meat. This is weird.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's hilarious. And that's where we start.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all don't see that. You don't see where we started. Like we can show you before pictures and you go, oh wow, yeah, you've changed a lot. But that's where everybody starts. And we have to find our own way. So don't get discouraged and don't ask us, what do you do so I can do exactly what you do so I can get the results that you got? I didn't do this first. This was step 15 on my journey. It was a natural progression. Some of it was ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it has been amazing. And you have to follow your own path. So there's no guarantee that if I tell you exactly what I eat, and I do, because I put that up on my channel, exactly what I eat. I don't lie about any of it.
Yeah.
I tell you guys exactly what I do because I want to be fully transparent. But then people will come back and go, I ate what you ate and my numbers don't look like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're not the same.
And we could have underlying issues. Like I know that I have some that I need to look into. And after seeing your video, about some things that you found out. And if you wouldn't mind sharing it, it opened my eyes like, oh wow, I wonder if I have some of these issues that I can get checked out because I've been exposed to, a lot of the same things that you have been dealing with too. So yeah, let us know what are some of those things.
So I would say that I'm probably 95% better than I was when I started on this journey.
Mm-hmm.
But I was starting to slide back down. And I was like, all right, not getting better. I'm getting worse. Some things are starting to happen. And I just knew that there was something wrong, but I didn't know what. Every doctor that's ever looked at me says I am ridiculously healthy, beautiful. I'm right on the verge of the healthy weight to crossing over into the overweight, but I'm, still for my age and nowadays, that's fantastic. And I'm like, but something's wrong. So I ended up having to start working with a functional medicine practitioner because that's the only way you're going to find out what you want to know. A lot of times, unless you have a fantastic doctor, and if you do, then please hold on to them until they retire.
Yeah.
But I got some functional tests done. So I did a hormone panel, I did a Dutch test, and I did a stool test.
Mm-hmm.
And I got my just regular functional medicine panel. I went to the Zoom meeting to get my results. And she asked me, she said, have you ever been tested for Lyme disease? Mm-hmm. And I said, yes. And it came back negative, but I was pretty sure it was wrong because of some certain symptoms. And she goes, we're going to need to test again because there's these 2 numbers on my panels that came back. And she said, these are only ever this low when the person has Lyme disease.
Oh, okay.
So got tested again and came up with 2 strains of Lyme, an older one and a newer one. And by the CDC standards, I don't have Lyme disease.
Oh.
But by alternative measures, I do.
Wow.
So not only that, we found that out, but along with the Lyme, I have several co-infections. And the ones that are really the bad ones are Epstein-Barr virus,
Mhm.
tick-borne relapsing fever, Bartonella, human granulocytic, what is it? It's human granulocytic anaplasmosis. There we go. HGA. Parvovirus.
Okay.
I'm like, that was a dog thing, I thought, but okay. Toxoplasma gondii and streptococcal A are all of the co-infections. Then we also found out that I happen to have an overgrowth of H. pylori
Mhm.
and also blood in my stool, a decent amount. That has actually kind of put everything on hold. My functional medicine practitioner said, you're going to need to go see a gastroenterologist about this before we can do anything else, because this is the worst number that I've ever seen in 15 years for the amount of blood in
Oh,
my stool.
wow.
I said, oh, okay. The range was anything under 10 and minus 78. And she said that in 15 years, she's only seen one other number that was elevated to that extent. It was a 24.
Wow.
So in between insurances, finally got my card. So now I will be able to go get established with a primary care person and then go see a gastroenterologist and move forward from there. And yet I'm 95% functioning. And it was because of these types of problems that I went back to my roots of high fat.
Mhm.
And as long as I am in the high fat and in ketosis, actual therapeutic levels of ketosis, my pain is almost completely gone. I do farm chores around here probably 5 hours a day, whether it's lugging around 50 pounds of grain and taking it out to my emus or the chickens. I just got today a new little fawn that has been injured. So now I'm going to be doing rehab with him, bottle feeding, and there's so many things around the farm that I have to do, mucking out pins, carrying things, fighting with 150-pound emus. It
Wow.
is possible because I'm in ketosis. And the
Yeah.
difference from when I remember it was about a week before I remembered and got back into ketosis. Dr. Boz, I did a recording with her and she said, it doesn't really matter what the diagnosis is, the treatment's the same.
Yeah.
But it was about a week before that, I was talking to my husband at night and he said, we need to get up early and do this. And I just broke down crying. And I said, I can't get up early. I can literally physically feel my health slipping away from me and it's terrifying me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get up in the morning. There's some mornings I can't even get up out of bed. I hurt so much and the mental fog was beginning to get so extreme.
Wow.
And found out about Dr. Boz about a week after that
Mm.
and immediately switched back over. Within 3 days, my pain was beginning to subside. Within a week, I had my mental clarity back. Within 2 weeks, my energy had come back again. And within 3 weeks, I'm throwing around 50-pound bags of feed like it's no big deal.
Wow.
Completely turned everything. I've been going downhill for 6 months since I incorporated the higher protein. And I was still pretty high fat. I mean, 100 grams of fat, but I was 150 grams of protein. And even 1-to-1, 150 grams of fat, 150 grams of protein. I was getting sicker and sicker by the day. I've got autoimmune conditions that are showing up on the blood test. We're not sure, which ones are which yet, but I have almost no symptoms now. And so I kind of rocked the boat a little over a month ago. And I came out and I was like, guess what? Yeah, I'm changing things up. I'm going back to the super high fat. I am reducing protein. way down. You know, when you're coming from 150 grams of protein every day, 70 grams seems like you're going to die because of all the things that we're told. My health was giving us a very clear picture that what I was doing was not working. And now I have found my magic ticket. So I'm sharing that because so many people are in the same boat. It's not working. I'm getting worse. I'm not getting better. I'm gaining weight. I'm tired. My brain.
Yeah.
So that's why we do what we do. That's why we share. Someone told me, oh, you're all over the board. You're right, because I'm still looking for what's going to work for me. And I'm going to take you guys with me the whole time.
Yeah. And I just love it, Amy, because I love how real you are with your journey. And you're not just saying, well, this one thing, which a lot of influencers out there say, and really confuse people. This one thing works for you, for everybody, to lose weight, to fix everything. It heals everything. Just eat the meat and eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, so many of those sayings.
That's the worst advice I've ever heard.
I know. I wish, and I'll be real, I am jealous. I wish that I was one of those people that could just eat meat and get better. And I think that they do exist, but I think that they're about 20% of the population that does this, not the 80%. It's the 80% that say, I didn't get what I wanted. I got a lot. I did get a lot, but I didn't get everything. Some stuff is actually getting worse. And that's where the problem comes in with all you got to do is, because there is no one size fits all. If I could just eat meat and get healthy, I would be absolutely thrilled. And yet I wouldn't be here. And how many people would still feel like they're alone, that they're the odd one out, that it's not working for, when in fact it's 80% of people it's not working for the way it was promised. So you're really not alone. And I think that saying it out loud, that it didn't work for me, nobody does that. Nobody runs around saying this didn't work for me. They say, yeah, no, I got this and this. I did. Because I mean, it did work, like 50% worked, because they don't want to be shunned. They don't want to be told, well, you didn't do it well enough. You didn't do it hard enough. You didn't do it right. You didn't do grass-fed, grass-finished with organ meats and unsalted Kerrygold butter. But I did, and it still didn't work. So people are so afraid of being shamed. And that's why we're not talking about it. So I'm the black sheep. I'm the odd duck out. I am the weird one that's going to go, guess what? Come over to my island of misfit toys, where you're accepted if it didn't work, and you're not going to be shamed or scorned because you're still secretly on diet sodas. I'll help you. I'll help you get there when you're ready, but you have to be ready. So many people try this and they're not ready. And then they fail and they try again and they fail and they try again and they fail. And all they see is their failures. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm going to love you right where you are. You let me know when you're ready to move forward, and then we can do it together.
I love that. I love that. And it's been such a joy and a pleasure to talk to you today, Amy. And I love your perspective and all the work that you're doing to help so many people. And remind us, where can we find you? I know you're on YouTube and Instagram.
I'm so bad at Instagram. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad at Instagram. Everywhere I am Carnivore's Angel with an apostrophe S. It's possessive. I am all carnivores angel. I'm the angel in that equation. Yeah. But everywhere I'm Carnivore's Angel, or Amy Carnivore's Angel, Amy.Carnivore's Angel on Instagram.
Yeah, and I love that you talk about it's not just the food. Because I think everyone focuses on the food, but for me, I found that I just started doing the float. We have a place here, and it's, I have never gone, and me and my husband just started doing that. We do sauna, we do ice bath, once in a while. But like I said, like I'm not religious about doing these things, but I do them when I can, you know. And they just help so much. And so
Yeah.
it's not just about what you eat.
No, it's not. We are not closed systems. If we were, then it could be all about what we eat, but we're not. And we are fluid. We are flexible, and finding what works for us is my goal on every platform with every approach. I love having an array of people on my channel that tout different things, because no one size fits all, and somebody needs to hear that message, and that will be their golden ticket. Maybe it's not mine, but it doesn't have to be. As long as it helps someone move in the right direction, then that is my goal.
I love it, Amy. And then your group is on the Mighty Network too.
I do.
And so I will put a link below to all of your groups and your page and your amazing YouTube channel too.
Oh, thank you.
Which everyone needs to subscribe to. I love how you have your kids sometimes in your videos, and you have just funny outtakes, and it's actually just so entertaining.
My kids had to take over my live on my the last one that I did, because someone showed up with a chicken and I had to go deal with that. So I put my kids in charge. My live
Perfect.
on YouTube.
It's perfect. And your your daughter, Bella, she's so cute.
Yes. Oh, that's the one. That's the one that changed my life.
Yes. Kids are amazing. They change our lives. They teach us, they lead us in the right direction for sure.
Yes, they do.
I know that you have things to do today, Amy, but I appreciate you. And I will see you in the Mighty Network.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Today is the 1-year anniversary of her YouTube channel. Do you know what that means?
What?
That means that 1 year ago today, December 9th, 2020, we posted our very first YouTube video. Is that crazy?
Yeah?
Yeah. And guess how many subscribers we have now?
What?
5,107.
That's crazy.
Is that crazy? Well, do you think maybe we should tell everybody thank you for a wonderful first year?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Thank you. And hit the thumbs up and hit the subscribe. I just want to do that.
You love to say that, and hit the thumbs up and the subscribe.
And hit the bell icon.
You're so precious. And we'll see you guys
On the way.
Bye.
Bye.